Hi everyone, welcome. This might be my new setup because it's comfy for me, and actually that's the only factor that I'm considering. Today's video is exactly my cup of tea because it combines all of my interests into one. Firstly, having an opinion on absolutely Number 2, law. I am a qualified lawyer, and recently, actually, when you become a qualified lawyer, which was for me was September last year, you can celebrate your qualification as a solicitor by also becoming a member of the Law Society, and you get to go to actually a really grand and prestigious ceremony. It's actually a really cool day, and I only managed to go a month ago because COVID delays, and I finally have my piece of paper. So I can finally fulfill my dream of finally creating proper lawyer reacts because I've got my piece of paper now. This is my first tier ranking video, and to be honest, the idea of ranking people comes very naturally to a law student who has been ranked academically or on my personal traits and successes for my whole life in the legal education system. So I'm thinking this might get quite savage, and I'm really looking forward to that. I've created this ranking in front of me. So the top ranking is the B movie, which is pretty self-explanatory. Number 2 is exquisite, Your Honor, said in that voice. This ranking is for those scenes that make your legal heart throb. It makes you want to go and be at the forefront of fighting for rights and being in a courtroom scene. Number 3 is simply called drama and emotions. Now, these scenes aren't necessarily great scenes, but they do give the drama. Number 4 is inaccurate, but we don't care. So these are scenes where they would never happen. They are simply so detached from the reality of a real life legal proceeding, but at the same time, we don't really care. The final ranking is meh. Meh. By the way, as we go through, feel free to rank these yourself and tell me your rankings in the comments, because this isn't the definitive opinion. This is just my little old me. This is just my opinion. So tell me your opinions in the comments. Before we get into the real juice of this video, I want to talk about the sponsor. The sponsor of today's video is Casetify, and I'm so excited because they have sent me some Casetify cases. One thing that I thought was really interesting is that they've developed new technology called Re-Caseify technology that basically upcycles old phone cases, old bioplastic, all excess plastic materials. And this means that if you have an old phone case like my old sweaty one here, you can pop it off and send it back to Caseify. They have a drop to zero commitment, which means that they've reduced their carbon footprint by 20% by processing their crushed plastic differently. Now, one thing that's important to me is knowing that my phone isn't gonna break. I am quite a chaotic individual. Still made with recycled and plant-based materials, it has 9.8 foot drop protection. They're also wireless charging and MagSafe compatible too. They even feature Defensify, which is an antimicrobial coating that kills 99% of bacteria, preventing the growth of any microbes and preventing bacteria from sticking to the surface in the first place. If any of that interests you and aligns with what you want from a phone case, or it's just a great gift for family and friends, all you need to do is go to caseify.com/Eve Cornwell to get 15% off the Re-Caseify collection today. We're gonna start with Legally Blonde. Now, Legally Blonde was what you guys suggested the most as one of the most famous legal scenes. And I have to agree. Reese Witherspoon's Harvard video essay is, I'd say, lasered into the back of my brain. Outfit in this scene, 10 out of 10. Taking out the sexist old white man, 10 out of 10. Being that bitch, 10 out of 10. One thing I will say is that this scene does slightly trigger me because I've been to court twice when I was training as a solicitor. Both for 2 projects that I was working on at the time. Both were commercial cases. So they were in the commercial court in London. I made a fatal error in my dress code. I had not been told that when you go to court, you should wear dark clothing. So this may depend on your jurisdiction, but generally you're meant to wear kind of dark colors to look formal in court, apparently. I went in a lime green suit. I went in a lime green suit. Now, do not get me wrong. Did the outfit look good? Yes, it looked great. It's cringing me out to this day. Like, I'm a very, like, rule follower. I don't like to be in trouble. It physically makes me feel ill. Me aside,
isn't the cardinal rule of perm maintenance that you cannot wash your hair within 24 hours at the risk of deactivating the ammonium glycolate?
I'm going to put it in drama and emotions because when she does catch out Chutney Wyndham, it did make me feel very like, yes, she's won the case. The next scene we're going to consider is in To Kill a Mockingbird, which, as we all know, is one of the main characters in our UCAS personal statements for why we want to be a lawyer. Now, this closing argument is interesting for quite a few reasons, whether you're looking at it in the linguistic literature sense or whether you're looking at it from a film point of view. I am neither of those. This scene gives me chills when I watch it. It's all about the purpose of the court, the purpose of the law, the purpose of seeking justice. Film and the subject matter, and the reason there's a court scene is because the wrong man has been accused of a crime due to racial prejudice.
The defendant is not guilty, but somebody in this courtroom is.
This is without a doubt exquisite, Your Honor. As you were probably expecting, within this top 10 includes a scene from Suits. There are lots of different scenes in Suits that happen in a courtroom. Obviously, it's a legal show. Specifically, one that people mentioned a lot was the one where Mike goes to trial in series 5, and everyone's finding out that he cheated his way through the education system, and I don't like it. Suits has its purpose of being the sexy, corporate, sleek, high power show. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of Harvey Specter. I think he's a bit of a dick. And in this scene, he's just like a complete bulldog. Don't get me wrong. Like, he still makes his point. He wins his case. He gets his dose of that ego, of that masculinity that he wanted. But it's not clever. I don't think he makes a clever legal argument. This is getting ranked as a meh. The next courtroom scene is from Scream Queens. Scream Queens, for a number of reasons, is a highly underrated show.
Be seated.
I think it's written so well, the humor is so intelligent, but it got cancelled really quickly. This is the scene where all the Chanels are found guilty, and it is absolutely carried by Emma Roberts, who plays the main Chanel. You may remember her iconic line, "I am choosing to ignore this verdict."
And I am choosing to ignore this verdict.
What? You can't ignore the verdict?
What verdict?
It also gets to a point where she just starts screaming against the verdict and the sentencing she gets given. And it's so hyper unrealistic because this would all be complete in contempt of court if you were to do that in real life.
That the defendants are guilty on all 47 counts.
So this is inaccurate, but we don't even care. 492,750 minutes was how long Annalise Keating's client spent in solitary confinement and was the key basis for the defense against murder that she used in her case. This is, of course, How to Get Away with Murder. Now, obviously, it goes without saying Annalise Keating in How to Get Away with Murder delivers the most dramatic, jaw-dropping, serving courtroom scenes of all time. Specifically, this case where she uses theatrical props and physical theatre to show her client's experience in solitary confinement, and it's extremely moving.
492,750 minutes. And all he heard was this.
It's going to have to be drama and emotions. The next one is a video that you maybe weren't quite expecting on your list because it's Harry Potter. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I ask you to cast your mind back. There's a courtroom scene. As every shit DJ says at some point on a Saturday night, let me take you back. Harry casts a Patronus charm to protect him and Dudley against Dementors. You're not supposed to be using magic as an underage wizard, so he gets sent to the Ministry of Magic court. How can I, as a Muggle lawyer, know whether this is a realistic scene or not? I simply cannot do that. The Minister of Magic is the judge. That would be like Boris Johnson being the only judge in the UK Supreme Court. Now, it doesn't take a law student to notice this. There's a separation of powers issue here. The executive and the judiciary should not, as much as they can, combine, because it opens us up to bias and politics within the legal agenda. This is going to be a low ranking for me because I don't feel any emotions really in this scene. And I just think they could have done more. So this is going in meh. The next scene is from The People vs. O.J. Simpson, the Netflix series. O.J. Simpson case date. When was he? 1995. I was not alive at the time. Johnny Cochran delivers his closing statement, and he's the lead attorney for O.J. Simpson. He doesn't just deliver it in a the acting is incredible, but he doesn't just deliver it in this completely compelling way, but also physically really compelling. He like walks up and down from the jury, he gestures, he points. He suggests that OJ being framed for murder was actually a really elaborate cover-up where they're trying to frame a black man for a crime that was actually committed by a white man. It's really compelling. By the end of this scene, it made me think that OJ Simpson was actually innocent.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
This goes into exquisite, Your Honor. The next scene is another really funny addition to this list. It's kind of like Harry Potter. I really didn't expect it to be here. It's Modern Family. So Modern Family don't technically have a court scene, but they do have like a restaurant scene that is kind of treated like a courtroom scene. Shame!
I'm a lawyer. You have a lawyer?
And it reminds me of every single lawyer I know, which is just getting way too involved in situations they don't need to get involved in. We've all been a law student and known someone that starts quoting their rights when they try to get kicked out of club. If you're a lawyer watching this, you probably have a friend that uses the word due diligence in a very like casual non-work way to describe other things that they do with their life. Like, oh, I'm going on a first date. I did my due diligence. It's like, we get it. We get it. Mitchell decides to get up, protect Manny. Manny's poem has been stolen by a bigger boy in school and he's trying to get the girl he wants. And Mitchell basically executes a whole cross-examination, opening statement, closing statement, sentencing, all in one restaurant. And for that, it's made the list.
Shame!
Inaccurate, but we don't really care. The last one, which again is one of my favorites because I didn't think it didn't come to the front of my mind at first, but a lot of people were suggesting it, which is the extremely wicked, shockingly evil and vile film, which is of course the Zac Efron-led Ted Bundy film. I know it's received some criticism because some people have said, it kind of romanticizes violence against women because he was this very attractive person. Final court scene is really quite breathtaking. I'm sounding very dramatic about this, but it really, really is. And this is when Zach's character, Ted Bundy, gets sentenced and is told that he's going to be sent to the electric chair because there's the death penalty in America. I think the most harrowing words are the words that are said by the judge. And at the end of when someone is sentenced, it is quite common, especially in criminal cases, and especially in American criminal cases, the judge will say quite a few words on their opinion on the case. So they will say like, I found this crime is particularly harrowing or X, Y, and Z. And in this case, it was quite questionable because the judge says, take care of yourself. You'd have made for a good lawyer partner.
You'd have made a good lawyer. I would have loved to have you practice in front of me.
And I don't have any animosity towards you. But it really just shows how certain biases can exist because Ted Bundy was like a highly educated, he was a white man, he was seen as conventionally attractive. And even when he is convicted of these awful, heinous crimes and he's sentenced to the death penalty, the judge is still willing to say, like, I don't have any animosity towards you. You'd have made a great lawyer. No, he wouldn't have made a good lawyer. I find this amazing acting. I think Zach is great in this. And I think this is definitely exquisite, Your Honor. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm hoping that I kind of do more commentary style videos in my little sofa. But let me know if you've got any ideas for things you want to see. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye now. I still haven't found a good way to sign off videos. I don't think I ever will. And I need to be at peace with that.